Hi, this is Chris Bentson, and it's time for another reSource Minute. Today's topic, profit and loss expense guidelines for the balance of this year and next. And so I want to dig into your profit and loss statement. If you were to send me your profit and loss statement for evaluation, we would force every line on your P&L into the form that you see on the screen. And on average, we're seeing practices operate in the United States at around 60% of collections. And we break it down by line item, and I want to review those for you. So let's make it a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see, and let's start with the 4 biggest expense items that you spend money on in your practice. And as has been the case for decades, people are the largest investment that you have. And those W-2 wages are averaging 20% right now. Next biggest expense right now, and catching up to people, is your lab expenses, primarily these days with aligners. After that, we've got marketing, and that can vary widely. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then lastly, the 4th biggest expense is your rent or the mortgage that you're paying yourself if you own your own building. So these are the 4 biggest expense items that you have on your P&L. Let's focus on these a little bit deeper. And first, let's go back up to the top and look at people cost. 2 things to point out. One is you can't just look at your W-2 wages and say that's my people cost, because there's other expenses involved, and you see those itemized there. So all in on people, we're now seeing about 24.5%. This number has got to be titrated down over time, because as you get deeper into digital, which every practice will in my opinion, you're going to spend more on the next item, which is lab expenses. And the lab expenses are going to expand from not just aligners like we've been used to the last 25 years, but also digital braces and monitoring fees. So if you're doing any digital braces with Lightforce, KLO, and something like that, and if you're doing any monitoring fees like dental monitoring, Grin, something like that, I want to encourage you to add that as a separate line item so you can track these expenses separately and get a better feel for your digital expense versus your brackets, bands, ligatures, and wires. When we look at marketing, it's at 3.2% on average in the practices that we value. Realize that most practices that find their way to us are looking for a partner or looking to exit. And so they're more mature practices. When you're younger, you're probably going to spend more. But on average, 3.2. If it goes a little higher, or if you have it a little bit lower, don't worry about it. But it's a significant expense in your practice, and one that you need to continue to have to speak to the consumer. And lastly, occupancy expense or rent. I believe that footprints in orthodontic offices will shrink incrementally year over year going forward. And so that 7% may go down to 6, even 5. And it's one of the few fixed expenses you have in orthodontics, so you want to watch that. But when you're building a new office or looking to start up, I think you can do quite a bit of production out of a 4-chair office these days if you utilize digital products. So that's a look at your profit and loss statement. If you want to get a copy of this so that you can look at this a little bit more closely and with more time, please take a picture of this QR code or take a picture of this screen and you just go ahead and type in the information you see at the bottom of this screen, and that will get you to that form so you can have it and translate your P&L to that. That's the reSource Minute we thought you'd like to know.